Welcome back, guys. So this is going to be a little bit of a different video. We're going to tell you the story about how I got the Skyline and why it makes such a big difference, not only for me, but also for the channel and the people around me. And this is going to be a solo video, so it's just going to be me today because Urs is helping his little brother install coilovers on his BMW. So this is going to be different, but it's going to be worth it. So stay tuned and follow this video. There's some cool stuff in there. Stick around. Going to be working on the car while I'll tell the story, like you hanging around here in the workshop. So we need to, let me tell you what we're going to do. So first we're going to have to look at the brake pedal switch because that is actually stuck. Let me just show you the brake lights. They are on and I am not in the car. Yay! The steering wheel is loose. So that's something that we need to look at. Check this out. That's not supposed to happen. We have a battery problem. It's really dirty. It's full of stuff from Elmia, because we took this up to Elmia and did an exhibition with it. So it's full of stuff from Elmia that people can't sit in it. And then we're going to go for a drive with someone special. So let's start by removing the steering wheel and removing the seat so that we can get to the brake pedal. And while we do that, let me tell you a little story. First, let's get rid of the power so that when we take the steering wheel off and mess with the airbag, it doesn't blow up in our heads. Yeah, so we need to have a look at this as well. No, it's not that awesome. So let's start by removing the steering wheel and the seat so we can get underneath here where the brake pedal is situated. And while we do that, let me tell you the story about this car. So as most of us in the car world these days, we grew up with Fast and the Furious. So did I. And having seen those movies and having seen those Skylines and the cars that were in that movie, I really wanted to be part of that. I thought it was just the most awesome thing. We always loved cars. Well, I think most of us did or do. But seeing those Skylines and Supras and seeing those special cars, that was just something different. And that's why I wanted to get one myself. And way back in Denmark, when I wanted my first Skyline, you couldn't get 34s. They were just not legal. You weren't allowed to buy them. You couldn't register them. So what I had to do is I had to get a 33. So that was actually my first Skyline, R34. It was a GTST, so a 2.5 turbo, and I got that because that was basically what I could afford. And it was a really cool car. I bought it through a Danish vendor who sold the car, got it from UK and sold the car to me. It took me a while to get it taxed and get it registered because there was a lot of problems with the tax and with the car. Actually broke down on the way home when I bought it. The engine blew on it. I think I spent around 4 years in courts with the guy that sold it to me, trying to get the guy that sold it to me to pay for the engine that blew, because it blew on the way home when I picked it up. It was a bad turbo connection, so it lost all the water and basically overheated like right away. That took 4 years and I won, but I never got the money. So guys out there, be careful who you buy your cars from, because it is a hustle for some people at least, and you get cheated if you're not careful. I did. But that's the negative part. The good part is I got a 33 and I got it taxed and I got it up and running. And it was a really, really cool car. It was a 2.5 turbo manual, so exactly how I wanted it. It wasn't the GTR because I couldn't afford that, but it was still way cool. And I got it taxed, I got it up and running, had it for a couple of years, and we used it as a pace car for some legal street racing that we were doing for something called Street Cup, which is, by the way, this is the old Street Cup cup that we have from the back of the days that I have from back of the days. So we used it as a pace car, these legal races that we used to arrange for. I'm just going to show you some pictures of that happening and the races that we did while I remove the seat here. But we used it as a pace car for Street Cup for a couple of years. And I drove the wheels of that thing. And then the legislation changed, so you could get 34s in Denmark. And I always wanted a 34. That was actually what I wanted to begin with, but couldn't get. So when the 34s became legal, I got one of those. And this is the car. So you may ask, why am I removing the seat and the steering wheel? Well, the steering wheel was actually loose, as you saw, and the seat I need to remove in order to get under the dash to get into the brake pedal, because that's really difficult to get to, and I'm too fat and too old to get into it. Otherwise, it's just floorboards. So, yeah. But after, just turn you guys around here. But afterwards, around 2000s, middle of 2010s, the R34 became legal in Denmark. And that had something to do with the VIN number, because the VIN number on a Japanese car is 14-digit, and the VIN number on a European car is 17-digit. So in order to get a Japanese car registered, you have to have a what you call dispensation for the VIN number. So you couldn't get that for R34, and there was some pollution stuff around that was not possible either. But it became possible, and then I got this car. And this R34 was bought directly from Japan. I'm actually the first owner in Europe for it. I got some help to import it, but I chose the car. This car actually wasn't bought at an auction. Typically these cars are bought at an auction. It was bought at a dealership, because we simply couldn't find, even then about 12 years ago, this is far back, couldn't find a proper one. So we bought it at a dealership, which is kind of unusual. Let's see if I can get you guys situated down here. So guys, that is what I'm dealing with right now. Let's see what the problem is. Yeah, sorry, I just have to move you guys a little bit. Yeah, so that you guys even see that? We probably can't. So that up there, that's the brake pedal switch. And this, oh, sorry. And this is the brake pedal. So it's not releasing. Why is that not releasing? So anyways, then I bought this car. And it took about 4 months to get it to Denmark. The price when I bought it back then was about 12,000 euros, which is not what you can get, well, any kind of Skyline for today. So that was prices about 10 years ago. And you know, that excitement of waiting for the car and waiting for it to be delivered and following the ship and tracking it on Vessel Tracker and all that. Yeah, I've been there more than once. So it was really cool to get it to Denmark and pick the car up in Jutland. I bought it through someone called JPD Denmark. And that first drive in the car, it was exactly what it's supposed to be. It was just perfect. The car was awesome. And then when I got it to Denmark and I picked it up, and then I had to tax it. It was the next part of the adventure, is actually getting some plates on it, making the car road legal, fixing all the issues, because there were a lot of issues, and getting the tax on it. And that was definitely not very easy. The thing about the tax was that I used a private guy to help me get a not too expensive tax on it. And he was nice and everything, but it took, I don't know, I think it took about 1.5 years before that tax was realized on the car, because before the tax was made. And that was a huge struggle, because then he got ill and his wife got ill, and and I respect that. That's family, and family comes first, as they say in Fast and the Furious. But it meant that I didn't get the tax on the car for another, I don't know, year and a half. So it spent about 2 years sitting in the garage, me fighting the tax people, fixing the car, making it roadworthy, all that. That actually took the better part of 2.5 years. So I think I found out what the problem is. There is a little rubber thing on the brake pedal that activates the switch that prevents the brake lights from turning on. And that little rubber thingy has come off. So now there's a little hole, and I need to find the rubber thingy. And I think I know where it is. Hang on, guys. Yeah, that is the little rubber thingy. The problem with that little rubber thingy is that it is, let me just show you guys. Well, the problem with that little rubber thingy is that it is broken. Because that sat in there, it actually activated the brake switch, or prevented the brake switch from activating. Yeah. Let's go to plan B. This is plan B. So how are we gonna do that? How are we gonna get that through all the way up there? Yeah, you guys can't see shit. Don't worry about it. Neither can I. Sorry about that. That was magically easy. That worries me. And once I got it taxed, it was just about getting it out and driving in it. I have been looking forward to that so much, so the first year I basically took it out. Also because I believe in, when you have a car that's new and you don't know the condition of it, just go out and use it. I mean, just drive it, then you'll know. Then you'll know what you have, because all the errors will show themselves. So just get out and drive. And I think the first year I drove like 10,000 kilometers or something, which is quite a lot in the Skyline. Let's see if this works. Check this out. Great success. So I drove 10,000 in it the first year. And after kind of figuring out what didn't work on it and setting up a plan for fixing that, because between me and you there was a lot of stuff that didn't work on it. Like a lot. We had this thing on the roof, kind of wrote what didn't work, and when I kind of crossed the roof all the way, I started at the other end again, and then I got halfway through on the third row of things that didn't work. Then we kind of knew what didn't work. And why did we do that? Well, the thing about it is I knew that I want to repaint it. It was just white and the paint wasn't good either. So I knew I want to repaint it, and that's why we didn't really care about the paint. Well, when I say we, it is me, but yeah, you get the drift. And then the year after that, the next season, I started to tear into it in the winter. Basically fixing whatever was broken from one end off. Trying to figure out what I wanted to do with it. Doing all the mechanical stuff that didn't work, just making it better basically. And that took also quite a while. I think the first year we did all the mechanical stuff. So we fixed the engine, fixed the intercooler, fixed the exhaust, made that work, went into the wiring loom, starting adding all of that, the Nismo cluster and the gauges, the Now the MFD, starting adding that. We also did the suspension the first year, because the guy that got it had slammed it so much that the front wheel was catching on the wiring loom, which you don't want. That was pretty messed up, so we fixed the suspension as well. We just vacuumed this while I have the seat out. So we added the Driftworks suspension in the rear, changed the coilovers, added that because we wanted something new. Basically made the car drive in such a way that it felt like a sports car, not only looked like a sports car, but actually felt like a sports car. Changed the bushings, changed the wheel bearings because we had everything apart, painted the suspension orange, the Driftworks orange, looked really, really cool. Made it a proper race car, kind of what it deserved, from being like a slammed, cheap Japanese, B-rated, shitbox. And that was also when I started considering what wheels to get for it and how to do the stance of the car. And guys, I've never been one of those guys that really loves wheels and fancies expensive wheels. I think wheels are really, really cool and they make the car, but I don't need them to be very expensive. So one of the things that I got for this Skyline was some Japan racing wheels. And I know that I've got some flack throughout the years for running Japan racing on an R34 full carbon, but I mean, yeah, I get all the stuff about them being flimsy and wobbly, and when you hit a pothole they basically bend. I've actually never had that problem, not really, not more than with other wheels. So it got Japan racing wheels and they're on right now, and we do want to change them. Not that we want to do expensive wheels, just want something else, just want a different look. And that's the seat. So let's get the steering wheel on. And another comment in that regard is was basically, well, it's not a GTR. And I'm like, yeah, you're absolutely right, it's not a GTR. But the thing about it is I knew that I want to change it. I knew that I wanted to modify it and do something really crazy with it. And I didn't want to chop a GTR. I think that is such an awesome car that I don't want to be the guy that basically chops it. So that's why it's not a GTR. And I've gotten a lot of flack for that during the years. The next thing is I need to get the wheel straight, and the best way to doing that is actually taking drive and figuring out where it's supposed to be and then placing it the right way. So let's go do that. It needs a four-wheel alignment. It needs an alignment. This steering wheel is not straight after I took it off, and it is what it is. Can't do anything about that right now. Anyways, back to the story. So it's not a GTR, as you obviously know, and that's the reason I didn't want to chop a GTR. And when I buy these cars, I never buy them to impress anyone. I buy them because that's the car that I want to have. And I'm perfectly happy with having a GTT with a turbo that I can modify rather than having to prove to someone that I have the money to buy a GTR. Because money is about choices. And you can't afford everything at once. And I chose not to afford the GTR and buy this instead, because this would make me as much happy as a GTR did. So I don't regret it. That was the brake pedal and the steering wheel. Now that works.